The rain hammered against the window like it was trying to break in, and Leonardo stood there frozen, coffee cup midway to his lips, as his brother Alex burst through the door with a stranger trailing behind him, mud-caked boots and all, laughing like they'd just shared the punchline to the world's cruelest joke. "Elias," the man called, shook the water from his coat with a grin that cut through the dim shop light, his eyes locking onto Leonardo's for a split second too long, like he'd seen something he wasn't supposed to. In that moment, the air thickened with unspoken questions, and Leonardo felt the first crack in the wall he'd built around his heart, wondering if this was a storm he'd been running from all along. Leonardo wiped the steam from the cafe window with the sleeve of his Henley, staring out at the relentless Seattle downpour that turned the streets into rivers of gray. It was one of those afternoons where the sky seemed to press down on the city, mirroring the weight in his chest. He'd come to this coffee shop on a whim, or so he told himself, a detour from the endless loop of freelance graphic design gigs that kept him chained to his laptop in their cramped Capitol Hill apartment. But really, it was Alex's fault. His brother had been raving about this place for weeks, ever since he'd started his barista shift at the university cafe and struck up some mysterious friendship with the owner here. "Elias is a genius with espresso," Alex had said, eyes lighting up in a way Leonardo hadn't seen since their parents split a decade ago. "You gotta meet him, Leo. He's different. Different." The word hung in Leonardo's mind as he ordered his usual black coffee. The barista, a pierced girl with blue-streaked hair, nodding knowingly. The shop, called Brew and Wander, felt like a sanctuary tucked between vintage record stores and graffiti-tagged alleys. Exposed brick walls lined with mismatched bookshelves, the hum of a vintage record player spinning soft indie folk, and that rich, earthy scent of roasted beans that promised warmth in a city that rarely delivered it. Leonardo settled into a corner table, sketching idly in his notebook, swirling patterns of waves crashing against jagged rocks, a metaphor for the chaos he kept buried. The door chimed again, and there was Alex, shaking off an umbrella like a wet dog, his backpack slung over one shoulder, dripping onto the worn oak floor. At 22, Alex was all lean muscle and boundless energy, the kind of guy who could charm a room full of skeptics with a single lopsided smile. His dark hair was tousled from the wind, and he scanned the room until his gaze landed on Leonardo. "There you are, hermit. Thought you'd bailed on me again." Leonardo closed his notebook, forcing a grin. "Just beating the crowd. You know how I feel about small talk." Alex laughed. That easy, infectious sound that always made Leonardo's defenses waver. "Good thing I'm bringing reinforcements." Then, he jerked his thumb toward the door, where a figure was silhouetted against the rain-smeared glass. The man stepped in, taller than Alex by a few inches, with broad shoulders that filled out a simple navy wool coat. Water beaded on his close-cropped black hair, and he had this quiet intensity about him, high cheekbones, a faint scar tracing his left eyebrow, skin a warm olive tone that spoke of Mediterranean roots somewhere in his family tree. He hung his coat on the rack, revealing a fitted black sweater and jeans that hugged his frame just right, and Leonardo's sketch pencil still midline. "Elias, this is my brother, Leonardo. Leo, meet Elias, the wizard behind this place." Alex clapped the man on the back, oblivious to the way Leonardo's pulse quickened. Elias extended a hand, his grip firm but not overpowering. Calluses rough from years of tamping espresso grounds. Up close, his eyes were a deep brown, almost black, with flecks of gold that caught the light like hidden embers. "Heard a lot about you," Elias said, his voice low and steady, carrying a faint trace of a Brooklyn accent smoothed over by West Coast years. "The artist type, right? Alex says your sketches could sell for thousands." Leonardo shook his head, heat creeping up his neck. Flattery from a coffee slinger? Dangerous combo. He pulled his hand back a beat too soon, busying himself with his cup to avoid those eyes that seemed to see straight through the banter. They settled at the table, Alex launching into a story about a disastrous group project at the university, something involving a malfunctioning 3D printer and a professor with a vendetta against caffeine. Elias listened with half smiles, interjecting dry observations that had Alex doubled over. Leonardo watched them, the easy rhythm of their friendship unfolding like a well-rehearsed scene. It had started innocently enough. Alex had explained earlier that week a delivery mix-up with bean suppliers, a shared cigarette break in the alley behind the shop, and suddenly they were trading playlists and late-night texts about everything from craft beer to quantum physics podcasts. But there was something else in Elias's glances toward Alex, a protectiveness. Maybe, or just the quiet solidarity of two guys navigating their 20s in a city that chewed up dreamers. Leonardo felt like an intruder, yet he couldn't look away. When Elias excused himself to check on a fresh pot, Leonardo leaned toward Alex. "He's intense. You sure he's not recruiting you for some underground art collective?" Alex snorted, stealing a sip of Leonardo's coffee. "Jealous already? Nah. He's just real. No bullshit. After Mom's thing last year, it's nice to have someone who gets it without pitying you." The mention of their mother hit like a cold splash. Cancer had taken her swiftly, leaving a void that Alex filled with noise and Leonardo with silence. He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "Yeah. Real's good." Elias returned with a tray of pastries, flaky almond croissants dusted with powdered sugar, and the afternoon slipped into evening. The rain eased to a drizzle, streetlights flickering on outside, casting golden halos on the wet pavement. They talked about Seattle's quirks, the ferries that cut through the sound like silver arrows, the hidden speakeasies in Pioneer Square, the way the Space Needle looked almost lonely on foggy nights. Elias shared stories of growing up in a cramped Brooklyn walk-up, apprenticing under his uncle's failing deli before chasing the coffee boom west. "Thought I'd make it big in L.A., he admitted, tracing the rim of his mug. "But this city's got a grip on you. The gray skies make everything sharper. You know," Leonardo nodded, surprised at how the words resonated. His own path had been a meandering one, art school dropout, scraping by on commissions for indie album covers, dodging the family expectations that had shattered when their dad walked out. "Sharper. Yeah. Like it forces you to see what matters." Alex's phone buzzed, pulling him away for a quick call from his study group. In the brief quiet, Elias turned to Leonardo fully, his gaze steady. "Your brother's got this fire, doesn't he? Reminds me of my little sister back east. Always dragging me into trouble. A sister." The detail humanized him, chipped away at the enigmatic edge. "Alex is the spark. I'm just the guy who sketches the ashes." Elias's laugh was soft, genuine. "Don't sell yourself short. I saw that notebook. You've got layers." The compliment landed soft but sure, stirring something dormant in Leonardo's chest, a flutter he hadn't felt since college flings that ended in awkward goodbyes. He looked away, out at the rain-slicked street where a couple huddled under a shared umbrella, their laughter muffled by the glass. When Alex returned, flushed and apologetic, the moment dissolved, but the air hummed with possibility. As they gathered their things, Elias slipped a to-go cup into Leonardo's hand. On the house. For the next rainy day, their fingers brushed, a spark that lingered. "Thanks," Leonardo murmured, meeting those eyes again. Gold flecks danced in the low light, and for the first time in months, the weight in his chest felt a little lighter. The walk home was a blur of neon signs reflecting in puddles. Alex chattering about weekend plans, a hike up to Rattlesnake Ledge if the weather cleared. Leonardo half listened, his mind replaying the brush of skin, the way Elias's voice wrapped around words like a secret. Back in the apartment, with its peeling wallpaper and view of the bustling Pike Place market below, he unpacked a sketchbook. The waves from earlier had evolved. Now they cradled a figure, indistinct but strong, standing at the edge of the foam. Sleep came fitfully that night, dreams laced with the scent of espresso and rain. Morning brought a text from Alex. Elias invited us to trivia night at his place tomorrow. "You in?" Leonardo stared at the screen, thumb hovering. "Why not?" He typed back. What's the worst that could happen? Little did he know, it was the best kind of trouble, the kind that bloomed slow and deep, like roots pushing through concrete. The trivia night was held in Elias's loft above the coffee shop, a converted warehouse space with soaring ceilings and walls lined and salvaged wood shelves overflowing with vinyl records and dog-eared paperbacks. Exposed pipes snaked overhead, and the kitchen island, scarred butcher block, served as a makeshift bar, stocked with local IPAs and a bottle of bourbon that Elias swore was the only thing that survived my last breakup. The space smelled of fresh varnish and old leather, a testament to the renovations Elias had poured his savings into after buying the building 2 years back. Alex arrived first, arms loaded with takeout from a Thai spot in the International District, while Leonardo lingered on the sidewalk, nerves twisting like the fog rolling in from a sound. He adjusted his scarf, a woolen thing their mother had knitted, and climbed the external stairs, the metal groaning under his boots. Music filtered through the door, a soulful track by Leon Bridges, all heartache and hope. Inside, the gathering was small but lively, a handful of regulars from the shop, including the blue-haired barista, Mia, and a lanky guy named Theo who worked as a sound engineer at a nearby studio. Elias greeted him at the door with a clap on the shoulder. His sweater swapped for a soft gray tee that clung to his chest in the warmth of the room. "Glad you made it." "Alex was afraid you'd ghost us." Leonardo smirked, handing over a six-pack of Rainier as his entry fee. "Takes more than bad weather to scare me off." The night unfolded in rounds of trivia, pop culture, obscure history, Seattle-specific oddities like the gum wall square footage or the world's first Starbucks location. Teams formed organically, Alex and Mia versus Theo and a quiet woman named Lena, leaving Leonardo paired with Elias. They huddled over a notepad, shoulders brushing as they debated answers. Elias's laughter rumbling close when Leonardo nailed a question on indie filmmakers. "Knew you had it. That eye for detail, it's in your art." 2. By the third round, the bourbon flowed freer, loosening tongues and inhibitions. Stories spilled out, Alex recounting a disastrous road trip to the Oregon coast where their rental car broke down in a sandstorm. Mia sharing her escape from a conservative family in Boise. Elias leaned back on the couch, feet propped on a coffee table strewn with coasters, and admitted to a youth spent dodging his father's expectations in Brooklyn. Law school dreams dash for the pole of creative chaos. He still sent me clippings about stable careers, like owning a coffee shop isn't one. Leonardo sipped his drink, the burn steadying him. My dad's the opposite. Vanished after the divorce. Left us with nothing but postcards from Reno. The vulnerability hung there, raw and unpolished. Elias's gaze softened. That's heavy. Alex mentioned. But hearing it from you, it's different. Across the room, Alex was deep in a debate with Theo over the best grunge band, Nirvana versus Soundgarden, his energy a beacon. Leonardo envied that ease sometimes, the way his brother dove into life headfirst. But here, in this loft with its city pulse thrumming below, he felt seen. Not as Alex's shadow, but as himself, the quiet observer with sketches full of unspoken longing. As the night wound down, plates cleared and goodbyes exchanged, Elias walked them to the door. The rain had stopped, leaving the air crisp and star-pricked. Alex hugged him impulsively, best host ever, man, and bounded down the stairs, leaving Leonardo lingering. Thanks for tonight, he said, scuffing his boot on the threshold. It was nice. Normal. In a good way. Elias crossed his arms, leaning against the frame, the light from inside haloing him. Normal's underrated. Hey, if you're ever up for it, I got a rooftop deck. Views of the Olympics on clear days. Sketching spot. The offer was casual, but the intent wasn't. Leonardo's heart stuttered. Yeah, I'd like that. They exchanged numbers under the guise of coordinating, fingers flying over screens in the cool night air. Walking home with Alex, the city alive with distant fairy horns. Leonardo felt the bloom begin, tentative, fragile, like the first crocus after winter. Days blurred into a rhythm. Mornings at Brew and Wander became routine, Leonardo claiming his corner table. Sketchbook open, stealing glances as Elias moved behind the counter with fluid grace. Their conversations deepened, favorite Wes Anderson films, the ache of unrequited crushes in high school, the way Seattle's endless drizzle mirrored inner storms. Alex was the bridge, oblivious to the undercurrent. Texting group invites for hikes or Mariners games. But it was the stolen moments, Elias sliding a fresh pour-over during lulls, their knees brushing under the table, that ignited sparks. One evening, after closing, Elias texted, "Rooftop? Clear skies tonight." Leonardo's reply was instant. He climbed the fire escape in the fading light, finding Elias with a blanket spread out, 2 mugs steaming beside a thermos. The city sprawled below, lights twinkling like fireflies from Queen into Elliott Bay. The Olympics, a jagged silhouette against the dusk. They sat shoulder to shoulder, blankets draped over legs, talking about everything and nothing. Elias confessed to a string of failed relationships, men who wanted flash over substance, nights that ended in hollow goodbyes. I built this place to root down, but love. It's scarier than starting over. Leonardo nodded. His own history a litany of guarded hearts, a college boyfriend who bailed for grad school abroad, hookups that fizzled into friendship. Scary's right. Feels like jumping without a net. Their hands found each other in the dark. Tentative at first, then sure. Elias's palm was warm, fingers lacing with Leonardo's as stars emerged overhead. The kiss came soft, unhurried, a brush of lips tasting of coffee and possibility. When they pulled back, Elias's eyes held galaxies. Stay a while, Leonardo did. They lay there until the chill drove them inside. The loft a cocoon of whispered confessions and exploring touches. It was quiet love, blooming in the spaces between words. And for the first time, Leonardo let himself believe in spring. Weeks passed in a haze of stolen hours, the kind that made the mundane electric. Leonardo's sketches shifted, gone with the crashing waves, replaced by vignettes of hands intertwined against brick, profile silhouetted in cafe glow. Elias became a fixture, not just in his art, but in the marrow of his days. Texts at dawn with sunrise photos from the shop's window. Late suppers of ramen doctored with whatever herbs Elias foraged from the Pike Place stalls. Alex, ever the whirlwind, noticed the change, but chalked it up to finally getting out more. Bro, if only he knew the half of it. One crisp October Saturday, the trio piled into Elias's battered Subaru for a drive to the Olympic Peninsula, Alex shotgun, blasting a playlist heavy on Fleet Fox's harmonies. Leonardo in the back, stealing glances at Elias's reflection in the rearview. The highway wound through evergreens, the Salish Sea glittering on their left, a bomb against the city's concrete grip. They hiked the moss-draped trails of Hurricane Ridge, boots crunching on needle-strewn paths, laughter echoing as Alex attempted and failed to identify wild mushrooms. Poisonous, Elias called, tackling him playfully into a fern bed, their tussle leaving both breathless and mud-streaked. Leonardo watched from a boulder, heart swelling at the sight. This was family, pieced together from fragments, blood ties mended by choice, love woven into the fabric. At the summit, wind whipping their jackets, Elias slung an arm around his waist, pulling him close. Beautiful up here, he murmured, breath warm against Leonardo's ear. You have no idea, Leonardo replied, turning to capture his lips in a kiss that tasted of salt air and promise. Alex hooped from afar, feigning disgust. Get a room? You too. But his grin betrayed delight. The secret was out, spilled over campfire s'mores that night at a lakeside cabin Elias had booked. Alex punched Leonardo's arm lightly. Knew it. The way you light up around him? Obvious as hell. The acceptance washed over Leonardo like the ridge's mist, uncomplicated, profound. They stayed up late by the fire pit, stars blanketing the sky, sharing stories of childhood Christmases and the ghosts of holidays past. Elias spoke of his sister's wedding last summer, how he'd stood alone as best man, aching for a partner to share the dance floor. Felt like I was on the outside looking in. Until now, Leonardo squeezed his hand. You're in. All the way, back in Seattle, the rhythm deepened. Elias's loft became their haven, mornings tangled in sheets that smelled of sandalwood soap, afternoons sketching while he experimented with new roasts. Leonardo's freelance work surged, a commission for a queer-lit festival poster, inspired by Elias's quiet strength. Life felt like a reel of film, each frame saturated with color. But cracks, subtle as hairlines in porcelain, began to show. Elias grew distant some evenings, phone buzzing with calls he took in the kitchen, voice low and edged. Work stuff, he'd say, waving off. But Leonardo caught the tension in his jaw, the way his eyes shadowed. One night, after a gallery opening in Fremont, where Leonardo's piece hung amid swirling abstracts, they argued, first real one. Elias had arrived late, distracted, barely engaging with the crowd of artists and patrons sipping Pinot. What's going on? Leonardo pressed in the cab home. City lights streaking past. You've been a ghost lately. Elias rubbed his temples. It's nothing. Supplier drama. Rents up again, shops barely breaking even. Leonardo softened, pulling him close. Talk to me. We're in this. A beat of silence. Then Elias nodded, the wall crumbling. All right. But not tonight. Let's just be. They made love that night with an urgency born of fear, bodies mapping reassurances, whispers chasing doubts. Morning brought clarity. Elias opened up over breakfast burritos from the food truck downstairs. The calls were from an ex. Marcus, a venture capitalist type who'd funded the shop's startup but now demanded repayment with interest, laced with veiled threats. He thinks he owns me because he threw money at a dream. But it's mine. Leo. Ours. Now, rage simmered in Leonardo's gut. We'll fight it. Together. Elias's smile was grateful, but weary. Together. Alex, looped in over beers at a Belltown dive, offered his savings, student loans be damned, and the three of them brainstormed crowdfunding campaigns, pop-up events at the shop. Unity fortified them, turning threat into fuel. Thanksgiving approached, and Elias hosted a mismatched feast of turkey from the market, cornbread from a soul food spot in the Central District, and pie baked by Mia. The table groaned under dishes, laughter flowing freer than the Pinot Noir. Toasts were made to new beginnings, to chosen kin, and Leonardo, raising his glass, felt the bloom unfurl fully, petals soft against the chill of winter. Yet, in quiet moments, doubt whispered. Elias's ex wasn't just a financial specter. Texts Leonardo glimpsed in passing carried barbs of old intimacy. Miss what we had, one read. Jealousy, unbidden, coiled in Leonardo's chest. He pushed it down, focusing on the man beside him, the one who traced constellations on his skin at night, who murmured poetry for me. Comings into his hair. December brought snow, rare for Seattle, and with it, a holiday market in the shop's lot. Elias and Leonardo strung lights through the evergreens. Alex hauling crates of ornaments scavenged from thrift stores. The air crackled with mulled wine and carols from a busker's guitar. That night, under a canopy of twinkling bulbs, Elias dropped to one knee, not with a ring, but a key to the loft, etched with their initials. Not forever yet, he said, voice thick. But a start. Tears pricked Leonardo's eyes as he pulled Elias up, kissing him fierce amid cheers from bundled onlookers. It was a vow, etched in metal and light. But vows, like snowflakes, melt under heat. The new year dawned with a call from Marcus, a summons to his downtown office, all glass and steel overlooking the waterfront. Elias went alone, against Leonardo's protests. I handle my messes, he insisted. Hours later, he returned hollow-eyed, collapsing onto the couch. He bought out the loan from a shark investor. If I miss a payment, he forecloses. Leonardo's world tilted. We fight. Lawyers. Protests. No. Elias's voice broke. He has dirt. On me. Old stuff. The confession spilled. A youthful indiscretion. A bounced check from desperate days. Leveraged now as blackmail. Shame colored Elias's cheeks. But Leonardo held him. Fierce. It's not you anymore. We're past it. Yet the seed of fracture took root. Elias withdrew. Shifts lengthening. Smiles thinning. Leonardo buried himself in work. A mural commission for a queer youth center in Capitol Hill. Vibrant figures emerging from shadows. Hands outstretched. Alex noticed, cornering him after a run along the Burt Gilman Trail. He's scared. Leo. But so are you. Talk. The advice echoed as Leonardo confronted Elias one stormy night. Thunder rumbling over the bay. I love you, he said. Words raw. But I can't love a ghost. Elias's eyes glistened. I'm trying. God, I'm trying. They clung through the tempest. Bodies seeking solace. But the storm outside mirrored the one brewing within. Betrayal loomed. Not from Elias, but from the past that clawed back. Threatening to unearth roots too shallow to withstand. Spring teased with crocuses pushing through mulch in the window boxes. But tension simmered. Marcus's visits to the shop were casual, a latte ordered with a smirk. Eyes lingering on Elias like ownership. Leonardo seethed, sketching furious lines that bled into abstracts of thorns entwined with roses. Alex mediated, hosting game nights that forced levity. Monopoly marathons where Elias bankrupted them all with ruthless trades. Laughter a temporary suture. Then, the blow, a letter from the investor, demanding Elias reconsider old arrangements or face exposure. The dirt? Not just financial, a fabricated affair rumor, twisted to paint Elias as unreliable, untrustworthy. He'll ruin you, Leonardo whispered, crumpling the paper. Elias paced the loft, fists clenched. I won't let him touch us, but touch it did. Sleepless nights mounted, Elias's touches turning desperate, Leonardo's responses laced with unspoken fear. The love that had bloomed so quietly now strained against thorns, petals wilting under scrutiny. April arrived with cherry blossoms carpeting the U District sidewalks, a fleeting pink against the ever-present gray. Leonardo threw himself into the mural, scaffolded against the youth center's facade. Layers of acrylic building resilience, figures in bold primaries. Eyes defiant, hands linking across divides. Elias watched from the curb one afternoon, thermos in hand, his presence a quiet anchor. It's stunning, he said, tracing the air where two silhouettes touched foreheads. Like us. Messy, but true. Leonardo descended the ladder, paint-splattered jeans brushing Elias's. Has to be. For them. He nodded toward the center, where teens lingered, backpacks slung low, stories of rejection etched in their postures. The work grounded him, a counter to the chaos encroaching on their life. Marcus escalated, anonymous posts on local forums, whispers of shady dealings at Brew and Wander. Customers thinned, regulars murmuring doubts. Elias pored over ledgers late into nights, Mia covering shifts with fierce loyalty. Alex dropped a poli-sci class to help, manning the register with quips that masked worry. We're the Three Musketeers, he'd joke, but his eyes betrayed the strain. One evening, after closing, Leonardo found Elias in the back office, head in hands amid stacks of invoices. The room smelled of ink and defeat. "Hey," Leonardo said softly, kneeling. "Breathe." Elias looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "I can't lose this. It's all I have left that's mine." "You're not losing anything." Leonardo cupped his face, thumbs brushing tears. "Especially not me." The kiss was salt and fire, a reclamation. They made love on the office floor, coats as makeshift bedding, reclaiming power in vulnerability. Afterward, tangled and spent, Elias whispered plans, a lawyer friend from Brooklyn days. A GoFundMe launched with Alex's viral savvy. Hope flickered, fragile but real. The fundraiser took off, shares from queer communities, boosts from indie musicians who'd played the shop's open mics. A local paper ran a feature, Seattle's Heart, saving a haven for dreamers. Donations poured, alongside messages of solidarity. For a week, it felt like victory, picnic in Discovery Park, Frisbee arcs against blue skies, Elias's laughter unburdened. Then, betrayal struck like lightning. Leonardo came home early from a client meeting, key turning in the loft door to the murmur of voices. He froze in the hallway, recognizing Marcus's polished timbre, slick, insistent. "That you know you missed the excitement. This barista life? It's cute, but I'm offering real security." Elias's reply was low, strained. "Get out. We're done." But the damage was sown. Leonardo burst in, heart hammering. Marcus lounged on the couch like he owned it. Suit impeccable, smirk lethal. The artist. "Heard your boyfriend here's entertaining offers. Get the fuck out," Leonardo snarled. Fistballed. Marcus rose, unhurried. "Think about it." Elias. Doors open. He sauntered past, leaving venom in the air. The door clicked shut, and silence crashed. Elias stood, face ashen. "Leo, it's not. Was he here before?" The question sliced, born of terror. Elias hesitated, a fatal beat. "Once. To talk terms. I swear. Nothing else." The hesitation was the knife. Leonardo recoiled. "You let him in our home. After everything. I was buying time." Elias reached, but Leonardo stepped back. "Please. Trust me. Trust." The word fractured. Leonardo stormed out, rain soaking him anew, streets blurring through tears. He crashed at Alex's dorm, brother opening the door with bleary concern. "What happened?" "Everything," Leonardo choked, collapsing onto the futon. Dawn brought confession, the argument, the doubt. Alex listened, then hugged him fierce. He's scared too. "But running? That's Dad's move." The words pierced. Days blurred, radio silence from Elias. Leonardo haunting the mural site. Brush strokes furious. Texts piled unanswered. "I'm sorry. Come home." Guilt warred with hurt. Had Elias wavered? Or was it Leonardo's fear projecting shadows? Alex intervened, dragging him to the shop midweek. "Face it, or it'll eat you." Inside, brew and wander hum subdued. Patron sparse. Elias looked wrecked, stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes hollow as he frothed milk. He spotted Leonardo, cup slipping from his hand, shattering on the tile. Time suspended. Mia swept shards as Alex nudged Leonardo forward. I'm sorry, Elias said first, voice breaking over the counter. For the hesitation. For letting him in. I was trying to protect us. But I fucked up. Leonardo's throat tightened. I saw red. Thought. Maybe you wanted that life. The security. Elias vaulted the counter, pulling him into the storeroom. Door clicking shut. Never. You're my security. My everything. His kiss was desperate, hands framing Leonardo's face. Forgive me. Tears mingled as Leonardo nodded. Only if you forgive my doubt. Reconciliation was raw, nights of honest talks over the kitchen island. Vulnerabilities laid bare like exposed wiring. Marcus's shadow lingered, but they fortified. Lawyer meetings in dim offices, crowdfunding hitting goals. Love, tested, emerged tempered, stronger. Summer solstice brought a festival in the shop's lot. Live bands, food trucks lining the block, rainbow flags snapping in the breeze. Elias and Leonardo danced under string lights, bodies swaying to an acoustic cover of Wonderwall, Alex cheering from the sidelines with Mia. In that moment, thorns receded, petals full, but crisis brewed unseen. A week later, Elias vanished mid-shift, phone dead, loft empty. Panic clawed Leonardo as he searched. Alleys, hospitals, the pier where they watched sunsets. Alex called contacts, voice cracking. Hours stretched to nightfall. Then, a text from an unknown number. Meet at the office. Alone. Dread pulled. Leonardo went, heart pounding up the elevator to Marcus's tower. The office gleamed sterile. City lights mocking below. Marcus waited, a folder in hand. Your boy's mine now. Debts paid in full, his choice. Lies. But the photo, Elias, arm around Marcus, at some gala, time-stamped last month. Fabricated or truth? Where is he? Leonardo demanded. Marcus smiled cold. Making amends. Walk away. Artist. Save yourself. Leonardo fled. Bile rising. Betrayal of ice. Home was Alex's arms. Sobs racking. He wouldn't, Alex insisted. Not after, but doubt festered. Dawn brought Elias, disheveled, bruised lip, collapsing at the door. Kidnapped. Marcus's goons. Forced a signature on the shop transfer. Proof. Crumpled deed. Elias's story tumbling. Ambush after a supplier run. Demands for compliance. Escape when a guard slipped. Police reports filed. But Marcus's influence loomed. High-powered attorneys. Whispers of mutual agreement. The crisis peaked. Leonardo torn between belief and fracture. Elias shattered by violation. I fought, he whispered. Bandages on knuckles. For us, Leonardo held him through fevered nights. But trust hemorrhaged. Arguments flared, accusations flying like shrapnel. Why go alone? To protect you. The loft echoed hollow. Love a battlefield. Alex bridged, forcing a retreat. Weekend at a cabin in the Cascades. No signals, just pines and lake. There, by firelight, truth surfaced. Elias admitted the gala photo, coerced. Pre-Leonardo, a desperate bid for funding. I ended it before you. Swear. Leonardo exhaled. Walls crumbling. I believe you. But it hurts. Healing began tentative, walks along shorelines. Hand clasped, words mending wounds. Back in Seattle, resolve hardened. They sued, pro bono from a queer legal aid. Evidence mounting. Marcus's empire cracked under scrutiny, ethics complaints, investor pullouts. Through it, love quieted again, blooming resilient. Petals scarred, but vibrant. Fall leaves turned Fremont streets to fire. Crunching underfoot as Leonardo and Elias rebuilt brick by brick. The lawsuit dragged, depositions in fluorescent-lit rooms. Marcus's glare like daggers across oak tables. But victories mounted, shop retained via injunction. Elias's bruises faded to faint yellows. Nights, they anchored in routine, cooking pasta with basil from the windowsill. Vinyl spinning Nick Drake's melancholy croon. Alex thrived in the fray, channeling stress into a documentary short on small business resilience. Filming shop vignettes, Elias tamping grounds with steady hands. Leonardo sketching logos for allied vendors. "This is gold," Alex said, camera rolling. "Your story." Real heroes. The label chafed, heroes were caped. Not flawed like them. Yet it bonded, family forged in fire. One crisp evening, after a court adjournment, they celebrated at a Soto brewery, amber Alesh foaming. Darts thunking in a cork. Elias's arm around Leonardo's waist felt like claim. Defiance. "To thorns and all," he toasted, eyes locking. "To roots," Leonardo echoed, kissing him slow amid clinking glasses. Intimacy reignited. Tender explorations charting scars, literal and not. Elias traced the faded tattoo on Leonardo's rib. Away from art school days. "Means something now?" "Endurance," Leonardo murmured, arching in a touch. "Love?" Rekindled. Burned steady. But Marcus countered vicious. Leaked evidence to tabloids. Twisted emails painting Elias as embezzler. Lover as enabler. Shop traffic plummeted. Whispers chasing customers out. Mia quit in solidarity. Gutting Elias. "Can't watch it die," she said, hugging fierce. Despair crested. Elias drank too much one night. Bourbon bottle half empty on the counter. Maybe he's right. I drag everyone down. Leonardo snatched it away. Bullshit. You're the bloom in this concrete jungle. The fight spilled. Elias accusing paranoia. Leonardo fear of abandonment. Doors slammed. Leonardo crashing on the couch. Dawn finding him sketching Elias asleep. Vulnerable. Beautiful. Worth the war. Reconciliation came via Alex. Intervention at the shop. Coffee cooling untouched. You're bleeding each other dry. Pause. Heal. They did therapy sessions in a Belltown walk-up. Couch confessions under a rainbow flag. Dr. Rivera. A soft-spoken Latina with piercing insight. Unpacked layers. Elias's shame from Brooklyn shadows. Leonardo's terror of loss echoing parental fractures. Love isn't absence of storm, she said. It's dancing in it. Tools emerged. Boundaries with exes. Open check-ins. Elias blocked Marcus's number. Leonardo journaled doubts into art. Progress felt glacial. But real. Date nights at the symphony. Hands clasped in velvet seats. Beethoven swelling like heartbeats. Winter's solstice neared. Snow dusting the sound. The shop hosted a Yule market. Wreaths woven with LED lights. Hot cider steaming. Amid mulled spices, Elias pulled Leonardo aside, breath fogging glass. I wrote something, a letter, folded thrice, vows of transparency, dreams of a future, joint art shows, travels to Sicilian hills of his heritage. Tears blurred ink as Leonardo read. I love you. All of you. The kiss sealed it, snowflakes melting on lashes. But climax loomed. Court date arrived, federal building in downtown. Marble halls echoing footsteps. Marcus, suited sharp, sneered from the gallery. Testimony unfolded. Elias's poise cracking under cross-exam. Voice steady recounting coercion. Leonardo's turn gutted him, describing the photo's sting. Love's fragility. He chose me. Every day, jury deliberated 2 days. Seattle held breath. Verdict, fraud proven. Shop secured. Marcus fined. Reputation in tatters. Cheers erupted outside. Media frenzy. Hugs crushing. But victory soured. Elias collapsed post-hearing. Panic attack seizing in the lobby. It's over. But what if it's never enough? Leonardo held him on cold tile, whispering anchors. It is. We are. Healing journey deepened. Sabbatical from the shop. Elias bartending at a queer lounge in Capitol Hill. Low stakes. Steady tips. Leonardo's mural expanded. Youth Center buzzing with workshops. Alex's dot premiered at a microfest. Tears flowing as credits rolled. For the quiet loves that endure. Spring 2026 bloomed literal. Tulips rioting in the arboretum. They adopted a rescue mutt. Jasper. All floppy ears and wagging hope. Walks along Green Lake became ritual. Leash taut. Hands brushing. One dawn. Mist rising off water. Elias stopped. Marry me? Not today. But someday. Leonardo's yes was breathless. Ringless promise. Love, quiet no more. Sang. Yet humanism whispered, not perfection, but persistence. Scars remained, therapy Tuesdays, check-ins over coffee. But in them, depth, empathy for the broken, grace for stumbles. Summer heat wave baked the city. They escaped to the San Juans. Ferry slicing waves to Orcas Island. Cabin on the bluff, wild roses climbing trellises. Sea air sharp. Days kayaking coves. Nights on the deck. Stars wheeling overhead. Elias carved initials into a driftwood plaque. Leonardo sketched their profiles. Intertwined. Back home. Life layered. Gallery opening for Leonardo's series. Blooms in concrete. Elias beaming front row. Alex graduated. Cap tossed amid confetti. Job and nonprofit. The shop thrived anew. Renamed Root and Rise. Walls murals by local queer artists. Betrayals echo faded. Replaced by quiet joys. Sunday brunches at Salumi. Artisan sandwiches dripping. One afternoon, rain resuming, they curled in the loft. Jasper snoring at feet. Elias's head on Leonardo's chest. Heartbeat drum. Worth every storm. Leonardo kissed his temple. Everyone. Autumn winds strip trees bare. Leaves swirling like confetti in the gutters of Queen Anne. Leonardo's series sold out at the gallery. Critics praising the visceral intimacy. Buyers drawn to thorns wreathed in vine. Checks funded a down payment on a modest queen and bungalow. Gingerbread trim. Bay windows overlooking the locks where boats chugged to the sound. Moving day was chaos. Alex directing traffic with a megaphone app. Mia hauling boxes with Theo. Jasper darting underfoot. Elias unearthed a hidden gem amid the mess. Their mother's old recipe box. Salvage from storage. Thought we'd lost this, Leonardo said. Fingers tracing faded cards, cannoli shells. Apple crisp. Elias hugged him from behind. Like us. Unearthed. The house became canvas, walls painted sage. Shelves lined with Elias's vinyl and Leonardo's folios. First dinner, lasagna bubbling. Wine from Walla Walla vineyards. Toast to permanence. Forks clinking like bells. But healing's path wound uneven. Elias's nightmares resurfaced. Marcus's face morphing in dreams. Jolting him awake sweating. Sorry, he'd mutter, curling small. Leonardo learned to hold without fixing, back rubs in moonlight. Dawn walks with Jasper to shake phantoms. Therapy evolved. Couple sessions blending into group at the youth center. Sharing circles where stories mirrored theirs, betrayals survived. Loves reclaimed. Alex dated a barista named Riley. All freckles and wit. Dinners doubling as double dates. Laughter filling the bungalow's high ceilings. You're domestic AF, Alex teased, dodging a thrown napkin. Jealous, Elias quipped, arm slung over Leonardo's chair. Nah. Inspired, winter holidays shimmered, tree strung with market ornaments. Lights twinkling against fog panes. Elias's sister flew in, Giovanna, sharp-eyed and warm, hugging Leonardo like kin. He talks about you nonstop. Letters from the heart. Feast sprawled, braciole simmering. Cannoli crisp. Stories flowed. Giovanna's tales of Brooklyn block parties. Plans for a summer visit to Nana's vineyard. Amid pie, Elias proposed proper, ring simple, white gold band etched with waves, knee bent by the hearth. Leonardo, be my forever. Tears yes. Cheers erupting. Alex filmed covertly, later editing into a reel. Rings exchanged in a civil ceremony come spring, rooftop at the shop. Mia officiating in rainbow stole. Friends toasting with mimosas. Vows whispered, through thorns, to bloom. Honeymoon, road trip down Highway 101. Coastal fog to redwoods. Campfires crackling. Tents pitched under starfields. In a Mendocino glade, they renewed, bodies slow, souls bared. This is humanism, Elias murmured post-climax. Fingers tracing spine. Flawed. Full. Back. Life layered richer. Leonardo taught workshops at the center, sketching vulnerability. Youth eyes lighting. Elias expanded the shop. Community board for queer events. Profits to aid. Alex's doc streamed on a platform. Sparking national buzz. Interviews in Portland. Panels in San Francisco. Crisis revisited subtly. A letter from Marcus. Post-release from a plea deal. White-collar stint softened by connections. Apology? No. Taunt veiled as closure. Enjoy the scraps. Elias burned it in the sink. Flame dancing blue. Ashes. Leonardo nodded. But unease lingered. Dreams haunted. What if embers reignited? Summer festivals pulsed. Pride parade down 4th Avenue. Floats rainbow-hued. There flowed a coffee cart doling lattes. Marching hand in hand. Rings glinting. They waved to cheering crowds, love loud. Unashamed. Fall brought harvest. Apples from an orchard jaunt in Yakima. Pies cooling on sills. Jasper puppied a littermate. Luna, chaos doubling. Evenings, leash pairs romping in Magnolia's off-leash. Owners on blankets sharing thermoses. One blustery night, storm rattling panes. Elias turned pensive. Ever think about kids? Leonardo paused. Tea steaming. Yeah. Surrogacy. Maybe. Or fostering. With you? Absolutely. Dreams seeded. Nursery sketched. Names brainstormed. River for a boy. Sage for girl. Consults with agencies. Hearts hopeful. Winter deepened. Snow blanketed the locks. Boats ghosting white. Giovanna visited again. Toddler nephew in tow, tiny hands smearing cannoli cream. Uncle Elias's turn soon, she teased. New Year's Eve, rooftop party. City fireworks blooming over the needle. Countdown to midnight. Elias pulled Leonardo close. To quiet loves, loud lives, kiss unas box. World anew. Spring 2027, cherry blossoms again. Cycle renewing. Leonardo's book deal, sketches paired with essays on resilient love. Elias's podcast launch, brewing stories, voices from margins. But shadow crept. Health scare, Elias's fatigue dismissed as stress. Tests revealing early lymphoma. Echo of their mother's battle. Terror gripping. Crisis redux, chemo scheduled. Shop handed to Mia interim. Leonardo's vigil, broth simmered. Sketches bedside, portraits of strength. Alex rallied family. Giovanna flying cross-country. Treatments ravaged, hair lost to razor. Nausea bending double. Yet Elias fought, humor rye over ginger tea. Hand squeezes in sterile rooms. Not leaving you, he'd rasp. Bloom's not done. Leonardo broke privately, sobs in Alex's car. Can't lose him. Brother held. You won't. He's fighter. Remission came summer. Scans clear. Hair, stubble returning. Celebration hike to Snoqualmie Falls. Mist rainbowed. Elias. Leaner but luminous. Knelt again. Second chances. Marry me again. Vows renewed lakeside. Intimate. Just them. Alex witness. Jasper barking joy. Healing profound. Support group bonds. Advocacy for queer cancer care. Love. Tempered thrice. Gleamed unbreakable. Summer sun gilding the bungalow's eaves. They nested deeper. Elias's recovery sculpted him, veins mapping arms. Eyes brighter post-storm. Garden bloomed, tomatoes ripening red. Herbs perfuming air. Mornings, coffee on the porch swing. Jasper and Luna chasing squirrels. Tails flags. Book tour pulled Leonardo east. Readings in Brooklyn lofts. Panels in Chicago dives. Elias joined segments. Hand in his undertables. Pride swelling. My muse, he'd introduce. Voice velvet. Homecoming's ritual. Airport reunions. Kisses hungry amid luggage. One night, post-San Francisco leg. Elias waited with candles flickering. Dinner foraged, wild salmon grilled. Greens tossed. Missed you, he breathed, backing Leonardo against counter. Love reignited fierce, bedroom a tangle. Moans mingling with crickets. After, sated, Elias traced the ring. Kids. Let's start. Agency meetings, profiles poured. Matches sought. Weight stretched autumnal, leaves gold. Then gone. Holidays hummed, Giovanna's brood expanding. Turkey carved amid chaos. Winter brought match, surrogate in Portland. Emma, artist mom. Open adoption. Embryos selected. Transfers tense. First positive. Elation exploding. Dinner at Canlis. Views panoramic. Tears salting scallops. Pregnancy wove wonder. Ultrasounds grainy miracles. Kicks rippling under palms. Elias's hand on belly. Voice soft to bump. Hey. Little bloom. Spring quickened. Nursery painted sage. Crib assembled crooked. Leonardo's sketches evolved. Family triptychs. Futures inked. But conflict stirred subtle. Elias's wanderlust resurfaced. Dreams of Sicily. Nana's vines calling. Just a trip, he said. Recharge. Leonardo nodded. But fear flickered. Abandonment's old scar. With the baby coming, family adventure. Compromise. Delay to fall. Postbirth. June heat peaked. Birth neared. Labor hall's fluorescence harsh. Emma's grips iron on Leonardo's hand. Elias paced. Then joined, whispers coaching. Tears when cry pierced, boy. 8 pounds. Dark fuzz. Naming, Theo, Elias. After friends. Middle for legacy. Homecoming haze, feeds midnight. Diapers dawn. Alex, Uncle ING fierce. Spoiling with onesies indie printed. Parenthood's rhythm, sleepless symphonies. Theo's gurgles melody. Elias balanced shop. Bottles warmed on counters. Love expanded, tired eyes meeting over crib. Gratitude wordless. Fall vines beckoned. They went, baby moon in Italy. Giovanna hosting. Tuscan hills rolling. Theo swaddled in Nana's arms. Vines heavy with grapes. Elias harvesting. Juice staining hands. Roots, he said, kissing Leonardo under arbor. Return invigorated. Shop expansions. Leonardo's second book brewing. Winter cozied. Snowmen in yard. Theo's first laugh bubbling. But betrayal's ghost revisited. Anonymous email. Marcus. Free and vengeful. Hinting exposures. Old wounds ripped. Fabricated claims of infidelity. Time for book launch. Crisis crested. Press sniffing. Leonardo's publisher wary. Elias confessed buried truth. A one-night post-chemo blur. Regret confessed in therapy. Forgiven then. Kept it to spare you pain. Pain bloomed anew. Trust fracturing. You chose silence over us. Argument thundered. Theo wailing unheard. Alex intervening. Breathe. Truth now. Confession full. Lapse born of vulnerability. No contact since. Leonardo reeled. Walking rainy streets. Heart raw. Shelter in Alex's. Brother listening. Hurt's valid. But love's choice. Dawn retreat. Park bench. Elias waiting. Theo in carrier asleep. I failed you. But I'm here. Forgiveness hard won. Sessions doubled. Boundaries redrawn. Full disclosure apps. Weekly unburdenings. Wound cauterized. Scar forming. Healing communal. Support circle shares. Theo's coups reminder stakes. Spring 2028. Book launches unmarred. Sales soaring. Shop's anniversary bash. Band playing. Theo toddling amid balloons. Summer idol. Beach days at Alki. Theo's toes in surf. Elias's proposal third. Eternity? Yes, eternal. Humanism deepened. Imperfections embraced. Grace extended. Love? A garden, weeded, watered. Wild. Years layered like varnish on oak. Time polishing edges. Theo turned 3. Party in the yard. Piñata bursting candy rain. Cousins shrieking. Elias. Hair threaded silver. Hoisted him high. My brave explorer. While Leonardo snapped photos. Heart full. Shop evolved. Franchise whispers quashed for community core. Free coffee for unhoused. Art walls rotating youth works. Leonardo's studio in the bungalow's attic. Light flooding. Canvases leaning. Series on fatherhood. Tender strokes. Alex married Riley in a vineyard vow. Hills golden. Theo ring bearer tumbling petals. Best man's speech. Leonardo's words on chosen blood. Tears glistening. Elias's podcast boomed. Episodes on resilience. Guests from trials past. Mia opening her cafe. Theo's godfather. Sicily's summer's ritual. Nana's tales and dialect. Theo harvesting grapes. Cheeks purpled. Crisis final. Marcus's end. Overdose in a Reno motel. News clipped unsent. Closure quiet. Bonfire in the yard. Ashes to wind. Free, Elias whispered. Arm around Leonardo. Theo's questions bloomed. Why 2 dads? Answer simple. Love makes family. School starts. Backpack slung. First day tears. Elias's. Not Theo's. Pickup rituals. Park swings. Ice cream bribes. Aging graced. Lines crinkling eyes. Hands veined, but lace constant. Anniversaries marked. 10th at the locks. Picnic sunset. Rings renewed in water's gleam. Grandkids imagined. Alex's first. A girl named Luna after the dog. Bungalow bustled. High chairs clacking. Story spun. One autumn eve. Leaves aflame. They walked the trail, Theo ahead. Collecting acorns. Elias stopped. Breath short. Leo. Heart's acting up. Panic's old friend. ER dash. Stents placed. Recovery slow. Couch vigils. Theo's drawings bedside. Super dad. Perspective sharpened. Time finite. Love infinite. Bucket lists ticked. Road trip Route 66. Theo wide-eyed at canyons. Winter's gift. Northern Lights chase to Montana. Dark skies ablaze. Theo's on mirroring theirs. Spring renewal. Garden tilled. Seeds sown. Elias stronger. Proposing anew. Still yes? Always.